Welcome to A Accents and Advice, a podcast by A. LaFay. To introduce you to myself, I want to let you know a little bit about me. I have a big family, and I promise, this one on the edge here, she's not always this crabby, except for pictures. Most pictures, not the ones she draws. When I'm not spending time with family, writing, reading, or in the classroom teaching, or learning from my students, you might find me riding my horse, Jessie Ray. I might also be hanging out with the new kitten in the family, Violet. And that young crabby one is probably upset because she isn't doing any art. And like every great person, if you know how to do it well, why not share that knowledge with others? Because she plans to be an art teacher. I couldn't be prouder. Of course, next week she may decide to be an astronaut. And another thing you should know about me is I'm big into accents, mostly from the British Isles, but you never know what might show up on any occasion. I'm also good at giving advice, sometimes the advice of others. I'm a great admirer of Gandhi, and it's true. You should be the change you want to see in the world. I also offer a good deal of advice of my own. Details aren't doing their job if they don't do double duty. Now that's a line I know my students should know by heart. Oh, yeah, right. I've also written 1 or 2 books. And since it's the start of summer, and Water Steps is about spending your summer on a lake, a very particular lake, in fact, I thought I'd read you a little bit from that book. This is Kinna. Mem and Pep had it all rigged. They had it rigged for months. I tried to tell them I had to stay home if I ever hoped to take a picture that would earn me a blue ribbon at the Cortland County Fair. But they had a defense for that one. They have a Clinton County Fair in Plattsburgh, New York, not 20 minutes from our lake house, Pep told me. Mem sweetened the pot with, "We'll even take you to New York City for a few great shots in Central Park, if you're up for it." But I didn't really even hear her, because I couldn't get over Pep calling it our lake house, like we owned it, and it wasn't just a place we rented for the summer. To make things worse, they rented our cute house in Perryville to a family with 2 hairy smash-faced dogs that grunted when they ran. I couldn't stay behind unless I wanted to defend our cat Kippers against grunting dust moths all summer. And no matter how hard I searched, I couldn't find a summer camp that didn't include swimming. Even the Van Valley Horse Camp had swimming lessons. With your horse! No, I had to go live on a lake, a huge, enormous pool of drowning water. Pep tried to sweeten the pot again with stories of the fact that the lake itself was magical, telling me it was inhabited by silkies. They guide ships through dark waters, Mem said, her eyes squinting as if she led a ship herself. I won't be on a ship in any waters, I said, petting the cat Kippers. Pep tapped the steering wheel. No, Kinna, if you're swimming. Swimming? I sat forward. I'm never going swimming. Just listen, love. He smiled into the rearview mirror. If a swimmer, any swimmer, were to have a bit of trouble in a silky lake, the silkies would rescue him. You can't drown in a silky lake. Tch! I crossed my arms. What's a silky doing in an American lake anyway? They're immigrants like us, Mem said. Pep lowered his voice into adventure story mode, then said, In a summer so warm, folks thought the North Pole might melt. A pod of silkies set to sea. Young, adventuresome silkies they were, wild ones who grew up on stories of the seal folk who guided Leif Erikson on his journey over the great ocean. As the story goes, a young silky lad named Terring got himself turned around and went the wrong way down the Richelieu River. And finding him missing, a few of his kinfolk went hunting, winding their way down rivers and streams. Meanwhile, Terring came out in Lake Champlain, a great, beautiful, clear lake, with islands to the north, reflecting great grey mountains topped with pine trees to the southwest. But what he loved the best were the rolling green hills to the east. What with the rocky shore and the green hills and the mist of the morning, Terring felt himself at home. And when his aunties and uncles found him there swimming along the shores, they too had to agree with him, and there they stayed. That's how the silkies came to Lake Champlain. Oh, yeah? When did the leprechauns show up? I asked. And how would you do that? Pep asked. Have you ever seen a rainbow big enough to cross the Atlantic? He glanced back at me. What, have you? No. I rolled my eyes. Well, then there you have it then. They can't get here now, can they? Why not just buy a plane ticket over? Mem laughed. I can see 'em all standing on each other's shoulders, handing off a wee passport to the customs officer. She squeaked up her voice. We're travelling for pleasure, sir. Off to see the rainbows cross Niagara Falls, sir. See what they got at the end of them. Mem acted out what she described, and the big one at the bottom's all red-faced and shaking. A minute later they all tumbled to the ground in a screaming pile of buckles and hats, poking out feet and elbows everywhere, like some muddled-up hedgehog. We laughed. And can you imagine trying to buckle a leprechaun into an airplane seat? One good bout of turbulence and he'd go sailing. She zoomed her hand through the air. Probably end up in some lady's handbag. All the crazy stories, and I almost forgot where we were headed. Then Pep pulled down a long tree-lined road, and I could see the tall, craggy mountains in the distance. Are we getting close? I asked, sinking down in my seat. Why? Pep asked. Are you excited to jump out and see if you can catch sight of the Silke? No, I'm planning my escape route. And what if this is meant to be your best summer ever? You're ruining any chance of that with your sour thoughts. Best, try worst. I'd never sleep. They'd expect me to eat slimy fish, and those mop dogs would probably drool, chew, and piddle their way through my attic bedroom back home. I'd be lucky if I'd even survive my 11th summer. I'd certainly never forget it. And I hope each and every one of you has a great and fantastic summer. And one of the things I'd like to invite you to do as part of prepping for that great summer is consider checking out my Facebook page, which is just A. LaFay. And on that page you might see some advice from me or great links for wonderful, exciting things you might get up to. For instance, here we have 7 excellent summer creative writing programs for high school students, and a writing workshop for children's authors who would like to get in on the act. And I also have information on cool new publishing opportunities, such as this bilingual publishing house. And that concludes our first episode of Accents and Advice. But I'd love your advice on how to make this podcast even better. So feel free to give me your comments, and I'll put them to good use. I promise. Have a great day. Enjoy your summer.